I wasn't planning on making this video, even though I really should have been planning on making this video. Oh, fucking boy. I mean, like, I knew that conversation was gonna cause some problems. It's a dumpster fire right now with that phrase. And by that phrase, I mean cancel culture. I knew it wasn't gonna end well. Like, I knew there would be some people that would be, like, totally cool about it. I got some, like, great additions in the comments. Let's just say there was no surprised Pikachu face when I looked in the comments to see tomfoolery. There's so much to unpack here, and unfortunately, we have veered towards the definition part of the debate, which just... I get fucking exhausted when we get to this part of the debate in literally any debate because it's just feels unnecessary sometimes. When I say debating semantics, I mean being a bastard. Somehow the definition of cancel culture to all of you has gotten so fucking twisted. I don't even know how that happened. I mean, I do know how that happened. I can figure it out, but I'm still surprised Pikachu face. This is a reading comments thing. Let's read the comments and break them apart because there's so much going on. Let's start with this one. I agree with you on terms of people actually doing this sort of stuff, but what about scenarios where people get canceled over generalizations or when people and those affiliated with them end up getting doxxed, harassed, getting death threats? I do think that there's a difference in holding someone accountable, calling them out and unfollowing, unsubscribing, not interacting with them in any way, stuff that I do think is totally valid, and all of the harassment stuff I just listed. To me, I view cancel culture as all of that harassment and doxing and whatnot, especially when done based off of generalization and rumors. And I see holding someone accountable as calling them out and refusing to support them and making others aware of their behavior. Okay, here's the biggest fucking problem that I saw in the comments, right? The definition of cancel culture is getting bastardized. We need to start with the origin of the term cancel culture. Do you want to know what group made the slang term cancel? Take a wild guess who made the slang term cancel. You guessed it, black women, as black women usually do, because black women create all of our goddamn slang. So, cancel culture has always been about marginalized people and marginalized people holding people accountable. It's always been about that because the word cancel came from black women and the term cancel culture was created by a bunch of white dudes that did not like that black people were holding people accountable. The origin of this term cancel is extremely important in this situation. You can't just repurpose the term cancel culture. You can't. You can't repurpose it to mean violence on the internet because that's not what it is. The term cancel came from black women. Canceling has always been about holding people accountable. It's always been about that. And deviating from that is bastardizing that word, and it's bastardizing the definition of cancel culture. Cancel culture just means white boys that don't want black women to hold people accountable, and cancel means black women that don't want to deal with your shit. That's what it's always been about. All of these comments I'm seeing are deviating from that. And I get it, shit evolves, but I'm telling you right now, repurposing cancel culture to mean violence on the internet does not look good when the term cancel was created by black women. I'm telling you right now, that does not look good for you. Because if you know the history of black women being demonized for being aggressive and violent, you would know that this is not the way to go. The term cancel culture needs to be eradicated altogether. If you want to talk about violence on the internet, talk about violence on the internet. Don't bring the term cancel culture into it. That phrasing needs to be destroyed altogether because that phrasing, no matter how you think of it in your head, is not popularly used that way. There's a lot of people giving their own definition of what cancel culture is in the comments, and I hate to break it to you, but in real life, it's not used that way. You can't repurpose this phrase. This phrase is not to be repurposed. And like I said, once you get into violence, and when I say violence, I include verbal and physical violence. Once you get into violence on the internet, it becomes an entirely different conversation. But I don't think you guys are ready for that conversation, apparently. Violence on the internet existed before this canceling nonsense existed. Violence on the internet will exist whether or not your silly cancel culture rhetoric exists. If you want to talk about violence on the internet, that's a different topic. We are getting into a whole different territory, guys. You are making it so much deeper than it actually is, and you are deviating from the actual origin of the phrase. I don't think associating a word that black women created to defend themselves with violence on the internet is a good idea. I was gonna say, like, you can think however you want to think, but that's not gonna make it true. But in this situation, thinking that cancel culture means violence on the internet, you're a part of the problem. I'm going to be real with you. You're part of the problem because you're enabling the gaslighters. You're enabling the people that are harassing marginalized people for standing up for themselves. We need to not use this phrase. We need to use a different phrase if you want to talk about violence on the internet. Because this violence shtick you guys got going on, that's not what this is, and that's never what it's been about. Cancel culture is the culture of canceling, and canceling means a marginalized person says, I'm sick of your shit, I'm not gonna support you, and if other people like me wanna join me, please do so. That's what it means. Making it so much deeper than it actually is, it's not helping anyone, because now because of people like you, there are two definitions of cancel culture floating around. You are causing widespread confusion and misinformation on what the origin and definition of cancel culture is. If you want to talk about violence on the internet, we could talk about violence on the internet. Keep the word cancel out of your mouth. Whether or not canceling is involved, violence would still happen. Lady Gaga wasn't canceled for wearing a meat dress, but she still got fucking threatened and like harassed for it. Harassment on the internet is a separate topic that we do need to talk about. Do not get me wrong, we need to talk about it. But it's a separate topic, guys. Stop bastardizing the phrase cancel culture like you guys have bastardized the word toxic, like you guys have bastardized the word ally. Stop. Cancel culture and accountability cannot be separate because they're the same thing. Except one of these words was created, or one of these phrases, I suppose, was created by white dudes that didn't like accountability. Which is why I say cancel culture is not real, because cancel culture is just accountability. Cancel culture and its negative connotation towards marginalized people, black women specifically, is overall negative. And this negative feeling towards black people holding people accountable is extremely toxic and should not exist. That's why cancel culture isn't real, because cancel culture is just accountability. Stop making this about violence. Stop. That's a whole different conversation that you are having. I sent this particular comment to a friend to bounce some ideas back and forth, right? And we came to a conclusion that if you are racist on the internet and somebody drops your school and workplace and you get in trouble for being racist on the internet, I don't have sympathy for you. You were racist on the internet. That's part of accountability. The doxing you speak of, that's part of accountability. Now, it also depends on what OP means by doxing, because dropping the school or the employer of this person that is being canceled, that's part of your accountability. Now, if you mean doxing by you're dropping their address so people can show up at your door to punch you, mayhaps that's not it. That's just violence on the internet. Once again, we need to make this distinction because you guys are bastardizing the term cancel culture to mean whatever you want it to mean. It doesn't suddenly mean something different just because you said it does. I don't understand. Actually, no, I do understand where this came from. It's part of this anti-accountability rhetoric. Associating accountability with violence from the victim's end is a rhetoric move. It's a manipulative rhetoric move to make the victim look violent and to discredit their point. And like, I can sit here and analyze how it got so twisted because I know how bastards on the internet work, but like, It's not like this. Now that first comment sort of basically summed up a lot of these other comments, so I'm just gonna pick out ones where I have not talked about the tomfoolery yet. While you are correct, the statement cancel culture is toxic is still sometimes correct. The examples you mentioned are of course not included in this. There have been multiple cases where celebrities and influencers have been canceled for small petty things. For example, saying that they're vegan, then 3 months later eating cheese, and then receiving death threats. The offense is not that big of a deal, but the consequences blow it way out of proportion. In my opinion, that is what I think of when someone says cancel culture is toxic. Once again, we are bastardizing the phrase cancel culture. If it's not about marginalized people, it's not cancel culture. Because the word cancel was made by marginalized people for marginalized people. So cancel culture cannot be made about vegans. Also, mind you, that example is just white vegans being white vegans. Like, I don't know how to explain to some of you that, like, not everything where someone gets criticism has to do with cancel culture. If it has the word cancel in it, it's for marginalized people only. Vegans are not marginalized people. White vegans are probably one of the worst breeds of human being I've ever met, and that is coming from a white vegan. White vegans don't cancel people, which that's not a thing in this example, for eating cheese because cancel culture is toxic. They do that because they're batshit. Shit like that is not about canceling, and it's never been. You can't just throw around the word canceling for whatever situation you think it suits. That's not how this works. The word cancel was made by marginalized people for marginalized people. It is not made for vegans. And also, I got a lot of comments that was like, but like, cancel culture is toxic though. I hate to fucking break it to you, but something can't be toxic if it's not real. I think that part just kind of whoosh right over your head. Cancel culture is not real because cancel culture is just accountability. And that's all it is. That's all it's ever been. But you're bastardizing it. You're making it into something that it's not. Cancel culture can't be toxic because cancel culture isn't real and it's actually accountability. Accountability cannot be toxic. If someone goes, cancel culture is toxic though, I'm just gonna be like, can't be toxic if it's not real. Like, I don't know what to tell you at that point because the entire video just kind of went whoosh. And mind you, for this particular person, I don't think it went completely over their head. It's like people were not listening when I said cancel culture is not real, because like, that would invalidate the cancel culture is toxic argument, because it can't be toxic if it's not real. This one is a valid argument. I mean, I'm reading mostly the valid arguments. We'll get to the bastard arguments a little later, but this one was brought up several times, okay? As far as I can tell, cancel culture is only real when marginalized people in the public view become the victims of online harassment campaigners due to perceived slights and imperfections. ContraPoints was bullied off of Twitter completely because she vaguely knows and asked for a line for a video from Buck Angel, a trans elder who seems like a true scum. And even most of her friends were harassed to a lesser degree, demanding that they either condemn her or apologize for even associating with her. I feel like the real cancel culture only affects people already vulnerable to harassment and who rely on internet for emotional, social, or financial support. The people in actual power though, the ones with real money and shit, those fuckers are fine. Shane Dawson's gonna die rich, and I'm pretty sure a certain level of money or notoriety earns people a sort of instant career bounce back pass. See, like, it didn't completely go over the head of this person, which is why I say that it's valid, because they, to some extent, get it. However, you're bringing violence on the internet back into this, whether that be physical or emotional. Avoid bringing violence on the internet into this, because violence is not necessarily a part of your accountability, in my opinion at least. But the actual criticisms of people going, fuck Jeffree Star, he's a racist, that's not violence. That's a marginalized person being upset at a racist. But there is shit like, hey, go kill yourself. That's kind of like, you're towing a line. You're actually, I think you stepped over it. You very much stepped over the line. And that's sort of the line for violence on the internet versus canceling. As for the marginalized people should not be subject to cancel culture, yes, they should. For instance, ContraPoints, for those of you that don't know, is a trans woman, and she has a history of internalized transphobia, whether that be with associating with True Scum or saying that it's okay to fetishize trans people. The canceling part of that is if trans people themselves or trans allies don't want to fuck with someone that obviously has some shit they need to work out. Because trans people can commit acts of transphobia against other trans people. Calvin Garra, you know, True Scum sweetheart of the internet, he's a trash bag, is a great example of trans people being transphobic towards other trans people. And if you, as a trans person, do not want to fuck with that, or you want to attempt to, like, critique, you are within your right. Just like black people have a right to hate Kanye West. If you are anti-trans as a trans person, trans people have a right to hold you accountable for that. And this particular comment gets into another different conversation, because there's a lot of different conversations being melded into one right now. There's another conversation that's low-key brought up in this comment, right? Where it's talking about purity. And listen, I understand purity does not exist. There is no such thing as purity. You're gonna fuck up, especially if you're an oppressor, you're gonna fuck up because you were raised in a society that told you shit things about these marginalized people. You're gonna fuck up. There's no such thing as purity. Marginalized people themselves even fuck up. We're all continuously learning, and I understand that. And we all need to understand that there is no such thing as purity in your activism. However, that is a different conversation, right? Even if purity does not exist, if someone feels uncomfortable that you have not taught yourself this thing yet, and they do not want to fuck with you anymore because they do not want to be your 5th grade teacher, they do not have to fuck with you. And they also, by the way, do not have to criticize you in a diplomatic way. That's tone policing. Tone policing is pussy shit. There's a difference between not having diplomatic language in your criticism and committing violence on the internet. These are two separate situations. Violence on the internet, go ahead, call it out. People that are saying, go kill yourself, or like, I wish you and your family were dead. Yeah, that's violence. Don't do that. But saying, God, I just, fucking ContraPoints, dude. She's so internally transphobic. Why the fuck are white trans people like this? That's a valid critique. It may not have been said in the most diplomatic way, but it's still valid, because tone policing is pussy shit. If you rely on the internet for emotional, social, or financial support, and this was a different part of the comment, but I kind of want to bring it up, that's not healthy. I guess the financial support, right? That's not necessarily not healthy or healthy. That's just kind of the reality sometimes. But for emotional and social support to rely solely on the general populace of the internet, you need better coping mechanisms. I still don't feel sympathy for you. You kind of put yourself in that situation. I would never be caught dead making this channel my emotional and social support. And mind you, there's a difference between having like one friend on the internet that's your emotional and social support, and using the internet as a general term as your emotional and social support. Don't do that. And also, if you are a marginalized person that has like internalized transphobia or some anti-black views as a black person, if that affects your financial support, that's a part of your accountability. There's gonna be lots of things that you will do on the internet that will affect your financial support as dictated by the general populace of the internet. For instance, me making political videos, my views have gone down, ironically, significantly, and the finance that I'm getting from YouTube also has gone down. That's on me. I've made that choice. I'm not going to sit here and cry about it. Your finances on the internet are not stable, no matter what you do. So if your finances are affected, I mean, that's gonna happen. You're an influencer on the internet. You had to be ready for your finances to do a little roller coaster every once in a while. This is not a stable job. Let's get into the first bastard. This person gives me pseudo-intellectual centrist vibes. I saw this and went, God damn it. Cancel culture is toxic not because it holds people accountable. It's toxic because you can get canceled for literally stating opinions these days. I'm about to go ape shit. I've said it once and I'll say it again. The word opinion does not protect you from criticism. I will say it one more time. The word opinion being thrown around like it's confetti does not protect you from criticism. If someone doesn't want to fuck with you because you have shit opinions, they don't have to. Your opinions are created by your morals. They are a part of you. So if you have shit opinions, it means that morally, you are a shit person. You cannot separate the person from the opinion. And I will say that over and over and over again. Yes, if your opinion is shitty and it's overall hurting society and you're part of a bigger problem, it makes you a piece of shit as well. Because you're not the only one with that opinion. You're not just one tiny fish in the sea not creating problems. Because you're part of a school of fish. You're adding to the problem. There's a school of fish just like you creating these societal problems because of your shit opinions. If I see one more fucking person go, "It's just my opinion," I'm going to shank you. Bro, that's only like the first sentence. This motherfucker's on crack. There is definitely the right answer society is pushing nowadays, and if your opinion differs, you lose your reputation. That's because if you're stupid, people will not like you. What a revolutionary concept. This just in, I have to like homophobic people, even though I'm queer, just because it's their opinion. Yes, there is a right answer. There's no debate for shit like this. When it comes to marginalized people, there's no debate. There is a right answer. And the right answer is stop marginalizing people with your shitty ass opinions. If you marginalize people, you're a bad person. Why is this a revolutionary concept? I'm so sick of people like you. Don't agree that 4-year-old kids should be taught about the wondrous world of 1,000 genders? Canceled. Don't agree with the fact that people should be released from prison for rapes and multiple assaults just because they transitioned? Because that's transphobic? Canceled. Saying the swear word publicly? PewDiePie? Canceled. First of all, teaching children about non-binary genders and releasing a violent assaulter from prison are not comparable in the slightest. That is the dumbest fucking argument I have ever... No, it's not the dumbest, but you're up there. Not marginalizing people by teaching people about shit that's historically prevalent and has always existed, like non-binary genders, and releasing a violent assaulter from prison are not the same conversation. It's legitimately transphobic to release them because they're trans. If you assaulted someone and you deserve to be in prison. First of all, ain't nobody canceling people for that second one. Nobody's canceling people for that. Nobody thinks, yeah, I think a trans person should leave prison because they're trans. What the fuck? Nobody's ever said that. That first one, however, yeah, if you are implying that non-binary people are not A, child-friendly, B, should not be taught because they have historical, cultural prevalence, and 3, that non-binary people are not valid, yeah, I'm not gonna like you. Because that opinion, that first opinion, hurts people. That first opinion marginalizes people. And if people don't wanna like you after you say that, because you just said a garbage opinion that hurts people, they do not have to. You're hiding behind the word opinion, like kindergartners hide behind their moms on the first day of school. Your opinion cannot save you from criticism or people not liking you. If your career ends or you lose support because you said something shitty and helps marginalize people and spread misinformation, you deserve that. What about that don't you understand? You deserve consequences if you're being a piece of shit. Also, listen, I don't know if English is not your first language, so I'm going to be careful saying this, but if English is your first language and you think the N-word is a swear, motherfucker. Hi, quick history lesson. Swear words are a social construct that does not hurt people. And the idea of the swear word was created out of classism. So basically, saying that the words like fuck and damn and shit are inappropriate is rooted in classism. Swear words are not harmful unless you use them in a harmful way. Most like words like fucking pencil. Those words are not harmful unless you're using them in an insulting way. Saying the word fuck has no historical significance, and it does not marginalize a group of people. The concept of a swear word is for pussies. What you're talking about is a slur. Slurs do have historical significance, and they are used to marginalize people. I guess trigger warning, but you know something's a slur if you can think about all of the marginalized people that have heard that word right before they died. How many black people do you think heard the N-word before they got hung? The N-word is not just a swear, it's a slur, and it's one of the most heinous slurs in the English language. And PewDiePie should have been canceled for that. No motherfucker just randomly says the N-word, unless you regularly use the N-word outside of your internet life. Nobody accidentally says the N-word. That's not how it works. The only accidentally saying the N-word situation I can think of is you're singing a song that has the N-word in it, and it's been in your head so many times it accidentally comes out of your mouth. That's literally the only situation where it could possibly be an accident. What person just says the N-word on accident? That was not an accident. That motherfucker deserved to get canceled. Period. If black people don't want to fuck with PewDiePie after learning that he accidentally said the N-word in a situation where you don't accidentally say the N-word, he deserves that accountability. Don't call slurs swear words. This is not a game, motherfucker. Slurs are not a cute little game. Not a cute little accident. People also get canceled for doing nothing wrong, the whole James Charles drama, and literally lose their finance. I went over this. If you lose your finance because you were being a clown, first of all, that's just the nature of your job. You signed up for that. And second of all, that's a part of your accountability. Oh, here it is. Oh, we were waiting, guys. We were waiting. Men get accused wrongly of rape, wrongly Me Too'd, and they lose their jobs and any chance of financial stability. Cancel culture is real, and it goes way deeper than you think it does. I could unpack that for hours. First of all, men that get accused of rape don't lose their jobs. Their careers don't end. I hate to fucking break it to you, motherfucker, but there's a whole rapist on our Supreme Court. He did not lose his job. He still coaches, for fuck's sake. Literally the only time I have seen people lose their jobs over rape allegations in the celebrity world is Bill Cosby and Harvey Weinstein. One of these men is black, so that's why he got the justice he deserved, which is kind of sucky in a way, because apparently you need to be black in order to get the justice that you deserve. Both of these men needed at least more than 5 women to come out and be like, yeah, I've been assaulted by this dude. More than 5. A whole herd of women needs to come out and Me Too those motherfuckers to get them in prison. One person accusing a person of rape does not, and I repeat, does not ruin their career. Second of all, you're bringing rape into cancel culture? That's a whole different conversation, motherfucker. Do you think murder also can be put into cancel culture as well? Once again, the definition of cancel culture has been bastardized by you people, making the word cancel created by black women to hold people accountable into a situation about rape. Do not bring crime into this. It's never been about crime. It's been about people marginalizing people and marginalized people going, shut the fuck up. I knew somebody was gonna bring rape allegations into this. I knew some clown was gonna do it. And you did it. Also, cancel culture doesn't go way deeper than I think it does. Because what you're talking about is not cancel culture. That is violence on the internet. Stop bringing violence into this. Violence is a different conversation we can have. I will gladly have that conversation with you. I do not want to have this conversation with you if you guys are going to keep bastardizing the goddamn definition of cancel culture. So as you can see, this conversation is a bit of a clusterfuck because people are bringing shit in that is not the same thing. I don't think a phrasing originally meant to gaslight marginalized people should be repurposed in the way you guys are trying to repurpose it. It doesn't look good, and it's causing major confusion, obviously. Please find a different phrase. I'm literally begging you to find a different phrase for violence on the internet. Just stop using words to mean something that they do not mean, please.